Welcome in to the Dynasty Mafia podcast. I am your host, Antonio Denisi, and with me, as always, Eric Denisi and Keenan Jimajich. How are we tonight, fellas?
Good.
Doing good. How about yourself, Antonio?
I am fantastic. Doing really well, thank you. Happy Thursday to both of you. So close to Friday. How has your week been?
Not bad. No complaints over here.
Pretty good. Started a new job this week, so just been training all week, and it's been going good.
There you go. Keep grinding.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't know, Eric just started a new job with our president, Donald Trump. So
No, I started a new IT job, actually. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. The training's been crazy. I didn't have any IT experience before, but the field that I did work in allowed me to be able to get this job, and the training's been nuts, but it's exciting, learning a whole lot of new stuff and learning everything about certain aspects of computers and whatnot. It's interesting stuff.
It's pretty wild, man. Congratulations.
yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Well, like I said, speaking of grinding, we have a special guest on the show tonight. Dynasty Outhouse is in the building. Welcome, Outhouse. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I don't know if you would call ever what I do grinding, but I mean, it makes me sound like I do a lot more, so I appreciate it.
Well, I definitely see you everywhere, especially all over the Twitter sphere. You got a lot of followers, big following you've built up. So good job there, and I appreciate everything that you definitely do around the fantasy community. So speaking of the fantasy community, who are you and what do you do with all of us in the fantasy world?
Well, like you said, I am at Dynasty Outhouse, but you can call me Russ because it was really, I literally used to make people call me Outhouse. Like at first, people didn't know my name, and then I am half the hosts of the Trade Addicts podcast with my homeboy Brian Har at Brian Har FF, and I got so freaking tired of editing out him calling me Russ that I just sort of gave up on it. And like it's not like I ever needed people to not know who I was. I thought it was so damn funny to have people like call another human being Outhouse.
Yeah.
So I just went with it as long as I could, and just laziness, as always, overtakes. But like I said before, Trade Addicts podcast, I got now on the DAP network, which is a podcast family, if you will, with the Fantasy Timeline and the Dynasty Junkies. I am also what the hell other podcasts do I do?
Dynasty Game Night.
Dynasty Game Night with John Bosch and Matt Price, and Split Takes with Kevin Cotillo for the DFPN network, the best and only network in town. I think that's.
You're grinding when you start forgetting your podcast names.
I could talk a lot. That just comes natural at this point. So, again, if you want to call it grinding, that just makes me sound better. So I'll take it.
Compliments are definitely a good thing. So how long have you been playing fantasy?
I got into football in general in about 2004. Big hockey fan for a while. Then they went on strike way too many times in way too short of a period, and I just got really annoyed with it. So my friend hands me a copy of ESPN NFL 2K5, that one with T.O. in the Eagles jersey. Like,
oh my God,
looked like he was doing a layup or something. And I never looked back. I was all football all the time. And
that was the best game.
Yeah, it really. No football game had, because that was the first one I played since like Sega Genesis. So yes, I'm older than probably all of you. And yeah, no game has been that good since then. None of the Madden, because that was the last 2K game, because they went exclusive to Madden. After that, man, probably jumped straight into fantasy that year, sort of like 04, 05. So what's that, like 15 years?
Yeah.
Has that been Dynasty the whole time?
Oh God, no. Dynasty, 4 years maybe. About 4 or 5 years at most. It was, once it started, I'm sure that's a lot of people's stories. Like, you jump into one league, then all of a sudden you sneeze and you're accidentally in 5. I mean, that's sort of what happened. I was always the most active person, begging people for trades, and it's redraft. Sometimes keeper leagues, you get a couple going, but it was never enough. And then I found Dynasty, and like I said before, never looked back.
Yeah, just like you said, I had 3, and I joined the Cool Kids Club chat, which through the Trade Addicts pod and through patreon.com. Please be a member. All 3 of us are. You can get involved in that chat. And like you said, I'm all of a sudden in 15. So
Yep.
it can
Yeah.
happen.
The
so
more
quick.
friends you make, the more
15
leagues you end up
dynasties?
being
There are
in.
15 dynasties, Antonio.
I'm up to 15. Yeah.
Does your wife know this?
She'll
Dude,
know in
that's not
September.
cool.
She knows
That's
in
not cool,
September
man.
when dues are done. Yeah.
I got you beat
Um,
if it makes you feel any better.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Nice.
How many leagues are you in?
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number. It's in the 20s for sure.
Oh my gosh.
My wife also doesn't know that one. Full on Dynasty, it's probably like maybe 22. I'm in a couple Dynasty best ball leagues, which I don't necessarily count because you don't have to pay as much attention.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm still in two keepers because they're two keeper leagues because they're home leagues with some friends that I probably wouldn't talk to otherwise. So I feel like a jerk just leaving. But I'm nowhere near as interested in the actual leagues themselves.
Yeah.
And then, I do stuff like the Scott Fish Bowl and all the eliminators and all of that stuff. So it piles, but True Dynasty, I'll call it in the low 20s.
Well, you got me beat by, I think, 15. I got some work to do.
I cut down. I dropped about 7 leagues last off season, and then like another 2 or 3 this off season. So I was in the 30s last year. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, there you go. It's always good to cut back just a little bit, but not too much. Not too much. So now with the Dynasty, and you've been doing it for a good amount of time now, what would you say is the best advice you give to someone that's brand new?
See, that's tough because there's always so much. The real answer is have fun, do whatever the hell you want. I mean, you joined Dynasty because you're active, you're fun. No one joins Dynasty because they don't like making moves. So don't be afraid. Go trade. You make a bad trade. You know what fixes bad trades? Making another one. Just keep going. Like, just do whatever you want. If you feel like you have to overpay to get a guy you like on your team, go get a guy you like on your team because, again, it's supposed to be fun. And if you're ever sad that you have to trade a player away, that's why you join another league so you can get that guy on your other team, which is how you end up in 20-something teams. Yeah.
A couple of our friends need to listen to that answer, Antonio and Eric.
Yeah.
They don't like to make trades. We get stuck with making trades with each other.
Oh, I absolutely know that feeling. I definitely did not start a new league this year with a couple of my home friends that we had a home Dynasty league, which was just boring as hell. And I grabbed the 3 or 4 that I liked that were active and got them into a league with a couple of definitely did not get them into a new league with my Twitter friends. And that's pretty much what we did. We got rid of the boring people, took the people we liked, and we brought them in with good people. And then they realized that so I am absolutely crazy when it comes to trades. Like, I clearly admit that. But they see it's not just me, because everyone always used to be like, oh my God, can you stop offering trades? It's once a week. It's this, it's that. And then they see other people are like that too. So then they start doing it a little more. So, man, just have fun, find people. That's really just my answer, because this is supposed to be fun. So treat it like that.
Perfectly put.
Very perfectly put. Yeah, that's a big reason I actually joined more leagues, is so I can get more activity going. And just got a little bored with the other ones. No offense to anybody listening there.
No, but also, man, don't be afraid. I like to talk way too much. Don't be afraid to leave leagues. Like, that's really the honest truth. I get a lot of questions, and it's like, how do I rebuild a team in a league that doesn't have a lot of activity? What happens if I can't get anybody to trade? Leave. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun in a league, don't be in it. Oh, but I'll feel bad, this or that. The commission won't care. I'm telling you right now. They'll be like, oh, seriously? Oh, okay, whatever.
We'll find someone else.
Yeah, they'll find someone.
Especially in the days of Twitter, it's so easy to find a replacement. So, like, don't stress at all. If you're not having fun, just get out. And then join a league that's more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be in, I think I'm in three leagues with you now, Outhouse. So I've been able to get in some good leagues that are pretty active. I don't know, we got DDCL, CDA, and
yeah, I'm blanking on the third. Those are the 2 I thought of.
Oh no, yeah.
There's a very good chance. Again, I don't remember all of my leagues. So.
True. So let's dive in a little bit here to a quick question of the day. Let's talk some fantasy for a second. So 2014 was the last year that we had 3 rookie wide receivers with 900 plus yards. That would be Mike Evans, Sammy Watkins, and Kelvin Benjamin. So pretty highly touted prospects coming in for that season, just like we're running into with 2020. I can't remember a season in between that's been as hyped up as this one. Do you think that this is something that can be accomplished by this wide receiver class, having at least 3 wide receivers getting 900 plus yards? How about you, Russ? Let's start that off.
I mean, probably just because. I mean, man, it's much more of a passing league now than it was 6 years ago. So I think it's a lot easier for it to happen. And a lot of people did land in pretty good spots. I mean, Jalen Reagor, I could see getting it pretty easily because there's no one else to really pass to besides Zach Ertz. Justin Jefferson, probably, especially if Cook holds out, right? I mean, they'll need to pass the ball more. And even while Thielen was there, Diggs was still getting plenty of balls. So I still think he can get it as well. Plus, he's awesome. I mean, who else was there? I'm just not a Ruggs guy, especially with the placement. I know you're a Visca fan, but sorry, man, I just don't know if that offense is doing it.
He'll be right on the cusp if it is, but if it is,
maybe total yards, he'll get close. Yeah. How about that? Does that make you feel a little better about it?
That makes me feel a little more comfortable, yeah. What about you? You think with the Debo injury, if he does tend to miss, or knocking on wood, if there is any type of a re-injury, do you think Ayuk can hit that?
I mean, I don't think so. That's a run team and a Kittle team, and anything else, trying to depend on anything else after that. I am on the stance that I'm terrified of Debo this year. By the way, foot injuries scare me for 12 months, pretty much. Almost every single guy.
Don't say that.
Sorry. I mean, you can cover your ears if you want, but it's out there already. Yeah, almost every single player who hurts their foot, it takes at least a year to recover. If he's out 10 to 12 weeks, he has, I think I saw Ethan Turner, who's, a doctor of physical therapy, say he has like a 10% chance of re-injuring his foot. But man, wide receivers, the amount they have to stomp the ground, the amount of people that tackle them at their feet, it's just, it always seems to happen. So I'm just terrified of that. I think Ayuk now will get more play, especially at the beginning of the season because of that. But I don't think he's getting 1,000 yards. I think like maybe Denzel Mims is like the one not top guy. I would love for T. Higgins to have it, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. Who else is there? Pittman. Not with Phillip Rivers. I just don't think. And with T.Y. still there. So unless I'm being CD again, overcrowded, Judy, more of a run offense with a lot of people there, and yeah, I'll stick with those are my answers because you guys are sitting there staring at me and I'm talking about you.
I really like Mims there. I really like Mims. So Mims is somebody that I agree can get a lot of targets, especially with Enuma not coming back. They got rid of Robbie Anderson. You're hoping that Herndon can form that same relationship with Darnold that he had before. But I do think Mims could be in line for potentially 100 targets, which can get him close to that 900-yard mark. How about you, Keenan?
Hold on, let me send this text. Debo Samuel on the block. Sent. I agree with Russ. I looked at Judy and Lamb. I just don't think with the landing spots that they obviously landed, I don't like it at all. With Judy, he's with that offense that looks great on paper in Denver. But the big question mark is obviously Drew Lock there, and can he spread the ball around to, Sutton, Gordon, Lindsey, Noah Fant, and then also CeeDee Lamb. Is he the third option there in Dallas with Cooper and Gallup? So I'm with Russ on here. I'm leaning towards Justin Jefferson a little bit more than Jalen Reagor, just because someone's got to get those Diggs targets, and who's going to step up? Thielen already gets the ball, plenty, and defenses are going to focus on Thielen because he's obviously the veteran and they know that what he can do. They're going to try to have the rookie beat them. So
especially if they stick Jefferson in the slot.
Yeah, so he's my one only guy that might be able to do it and then Jalen Reagor. Obviously, I put a couple stars next to Henry Ruggs, but the only reason I put the only reason I think he can do it is he has no one there to beat out. He has Williams and Zay Jones, but that quarterback is just a big question mark.
You forget about Hunter Renfro.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah,
No, but you're right. Tyrell has been a little injury issue.
I just don't know. I don't know if Carr and Mariota can deliver him the ball. So we'll see.
I definitely agree with Rager and Jefferson. I think Jefferson is like number one. I think he can definitely do it. Rager, I think, honestly has a pretty solid chance. I mean, who are they throwing to there? What is Alshon going to do this year for them? I do think CeeDee Lamb could be the third one that could get this. I don't know. You guys clearly don't feel that way, but I think he's just so good. He's going to overtake Gallup year one. And yeah, after 2021, we'll see what happens with that wide receiver core, and he's going to be the number one target there at 23 years old. I'm guessing they're going to re-sign Dak. So, but yeah, for this year, I think he could definitely do it.
I just want to make one point. The longer the off-season goes without these players reporting to camp or off-season activity, the longer, or I don't think any of them will reach it eventually, because they got to get familiar with the quarterback, with the offensive coordinator. I know they're doing the Zoom calls, and players are meeting up in Florida and stuff, and where they're allowed to play or practice. But the longer the offseason goes without these players actually being able to show up to the facility, the likelihood of any of them reaching 900 yards is very slim.
Well, speaking of the training camp, the NFL did just announce today that July 28th is still the anticipated date, and they're going to stick with that date for everybody to start reporting. Obviously, rookies and specified players can come a couple days earlier. Do you think that's good news, though? Do you think that makes you feel more comfortable that everything is kind of status quo? Yeah, they missed mini camp, but
they canceled the Hall of Fame game. That doesn't make me feel good, but I guess that was coming. I'm guessing they're going to cancel all preseason games too. Although I don't know what they're going to do. It's so crazy what's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of speculation right now. Can't go too far, but just interesting that a month out they still announced that they're going to keep the date set in stone. Yeah. We'll see how much that changes. Colin Kaepernick, though, is drawing some quote-unquote legitimate interest from multiple teams. The reason I want to talk about that, though, do you think he's someone that teams can add because of the fear of their quarterback maybe getting COVID or other teammates getting it, and they want to have those replacements more so on demand? Do you think that's going to, especially when they extended, practice squads, do you think other teams might start doing this with other quarterbacks, or just having more quarterbacks on game day rosters? How about you, Outhouse?
Yeah, I think before the end of this, I mean, it was very smart for them to expand the practice squad. I think they're going to expand rosters in general, because I think they're going to keep running into players testing positive. And I don't think they're going to, unless they create another sort of exempt list for this, because it's not like you can put them on IR. It's not listing them as out. They're still technically on I don't know how they're actually going to handle it. So I think they're just going to expand rosters. So yes, I think you're going to see a lot of, we'll just say, spare players.
Underperforming.
And
definitely.
I mean, Kaepernick's probably better than a lot of the backups out there still, even though he hasn't really played in a couple of years at this point. But if you have Josh Allen, having Colin Kaepernick as your backup is fine, right? I mean, right now they have Jake Fromm. That is a completely different offense. But if you throw Colin Kaepernick in where Josh Allen, I mean, they're pretty similar players, one read and run. I mean, that's what Kaepernick always was. And it's just that, Josh Allen's built like a linebacker and Kaepernick's kind of scrawny, but otherwise it's the exact same thing. So I think, I saw the Seahawks had interest, and it's probably for the same reason, that you have a mobile quarterback. Your backup should probably be a mobile quarterback. So it makes sense for him to be there.
What do you think? Well, Eric, let me ask you this. And again, like I mentioned with COVID, somebody like Zeke, who we know already has gotten it, is he someone that you think, you're going to now feel more comfortable drafting than any of the other, obviously not CMC or Barkley, but any of the other top 5 running backs that you would want Zeke because you maybe know he won't get it again?
It's definitely comforting to know that. Yeah, I mean, I guess I never really thought about it a ton, but it definitely makes sense to, I feel perfectly comfortable taking him as a third running back easily. I mean, I already would have felt comfortable with it depending on what I wanted to do with that draft, and that just puts the icing on the cake for me.
So is anybody here drafting with that, I guess, I don't want to use the word fear, but is anybody drafting with maybe that mindset that, hey, I'm going to draft an extra quarterback or an extra tight end that I don't usually have depth at because I'm afraid of maybe this happening?
In fantasy, nah. I
No.
mean, if we're talking redraft, I think the waiver wire is going to be the same as it always was anyway. Maybe if we're talking super flex, yes, I will load my team with quarterbacks just because you can't really find them.
Right.
But otherwise, it's all going to be the same. You're going to find the same, backup running backs, the same wide receivers, and all that stuff on the wire. So I don't think it's really worth. I mean, if you're tie breaking, like, I don't know, am I drafting Zeke? Am I drafting Kamara? Oh, it's killing me. I can't even flip a coin. It landed on its side. Okay. Zeke already had COVID. Let me just grab him instead of that. That level of like a third tiebreaker is really like where it would come to my mind.
We're stretching it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm still perfectly comfortable with Kamara or, somebody else. Like, it's not like a huge thing, but yeah, I definitely agree. It's nice knowing that you wouldn't have to worry about that with him for the year.
Yeah, just something that kind of came up, just out of curiosity, especially with more players getting it. I wonder if more high-profile fantasy players will see starting to get it. Obviously, we're hoping nobody does, but we have seen it spike lately. So let's talk about someone else that's healthy now. Odell Beckham has been said to be free and clear from his sports hernia surgery. So we're looking that he's going to be coming fresh into the season. Jarvis Landry probably will not be, and Austin Hooper's now in that offense. So how do you think Odell may fare with a few changes there, especially with Kevin Stefanski as the new head coach?
No, I'm jumping in. Put up 1,000 yards while battling a freaking sports hernia. Everybody needs to get off of Odell Beckham's back.
Preach.
First year in an offense, completely hampered by injury, clearly nowhere near 100%, and still put up 1,000 yards. I guess. Okay, 1,000 yards is a completely arbitrary benchmark we use that we started using when the league did not pass nearly as much. But still, who cares? That's a lot. And now, like you said, Landry, I mean, I haven't even seen anything recently, so I have no idea how close he is to being healthy.
Yeah.
But like, chances are he's going to come in a little hampered from a freaking hip injury. Those always take a while to get over. And like, he's Odell freaking Beckham. I mean, like, I think the hate comes down to so much. Either you're upset that he gets hurt so much, or you just don't like him as a person. But that should not weigh in the fact that that dude is very good at playing football. So I am all in on the Odell Beckham train right now.
Yeah, I got him in the 4th round of the DDCL league. I was
so gross and good for you.
So
yeah, I tried trading in so bad. I was disgusted.
I traded
when I
him.
looked in there, I was like, what?
I traded you the 310 or Tua for Mark Andrews, and then I came back around and I got Odell.
That was so much fun to start screaming collusion once I saw you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't regret it. It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. No, but I love Odell. I'm in the same boat as you. I've been buying him and Juju all over this offseason.
Oh yeah,
as best I can. Yeah, people gotta listen, guys. Yeah, like Outhouse said, he's elite. He's going to remain elite. Baker still loves him. Don't let Jarvis get in your way, and I don't think Austin Hooper's going to do it either. Odell will still see at least 130 to 140 targets. He's going to get that.
Let's not forget to mention they got rid of Freddie Kitchen too.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a fire in the kitchen with him, man. They had to get that done. I'm so glad that they got rid of him. That was ridiculous. And Stefanski's smart. I really think he's going to do. I think he's going to do very wise things with Kareem Hunt and Chubb. I think he's going to use them properly. But Odell, like I said, Odell's going to start getting used in the red zone. He was not used enough. Chubb's, 15 carries for negative 14 yards in the 5-yard line. Ridiculous. You got to throw the ball.
Weren't 4 of those carries against the Bills?
Yeah, they were. We did a good job there. But yeah, Odell's getting no respect. But speaking of no respect, Adam Gase head coach of the Jets. Sounds like he is getting absolutely no respect from any of his players. We're hearing Jamal Adams come out. We heard Le'Veon Bell previous last season. Sam Darnold's been pretty quiet, as I guess he should be. But do you guys think this is going to affect anybody on the Jets? Do you like anybody on the Jets for dynasty purposes? Maybe are you buying anybody or selling?
I like in super flex leagues at least, Darnold's going as like the QB 18. He's still extremely young, and even if they get rid of Gase, he's only going to be 24 years old going in with a new coach, 23, 24 years old. So I'd go buy him up QB 18. I'm pretty sure that's what it was last time I looked, but yeah, he's a pretty good buy right now, I'd say. And Mims I like a lot.
After
That's about it.
the last 8 games, I think it was, or the second half of the season, which is actually 8 games. So rock on. Darnold was a top 10 QB, after coming back from being healthy after the, seeing ghosts Patriots game, he was really good. And that's despite Adam Gase. So I'm a very big Darnold as your QB2 in a Superflex team fan. Yep. I like that play. And I do like Mims. I like those styles of players. So I think they'll go well together.
Yeah, Darnold loved using Enunwa for the very short amount of time that he had him as a possession receiver. So I think that Mims is gonna take over that role. And he didn't have Herndon the last 4 games of the year either. And obviously Darnold missed his time. So I think him and having Ryan Griffin, they might run some 12 personnel a bit to help block for him. That's going to give him some more time to get rid of the ball too. And yeah, Eric, he's actually like you said, 18th for the June ADP. So good call on that one. Yeah, nobody else really that I think I'm looking at. I mean, actually, I do like Le'Veon Bell. I think his ADP is like 22. I like Le'Veon Bell a lot. He was extremely inefficient last year. I don't think he can do any worse than he did last season. I really don't. I think he had 3 touchdowns. It was just horrendous, but he would still finish as the running back 20. I just think that he's going to at least be able to give you maybe a top 15 finish, and he's still going to get a lot of catches. He had like 63 maybe last year, 65. But that's going to wrap up the news and notes. So I think what we're going to do is slide over to our segment of the Mafia Market. And let's talk about a couple of trades this week. We have a 12-team Superflex 1.75 tight end premium. Starting it off with, I think Eric made this trade. He traded Cameron Brate, a 2021 second and a 2022 first for Tyler Higbee. Let's get Outhouse's opinion here, the Superflex guru, on what he thinks about that trade.
Man, I want those picks. I like Tyler Higbee, but Tyler Higbee started doing really well after Everett got hurt. And I know the Rams are going to start running some. And if you gave team context, I accidentally knocked my earbud out of my ear. So I don't know, because you were about to start saying that team. So I don't know if I missed you say something already. So my bad. But just value-wise, honestly, I know it's a 22 first, but man, I think that value's there. I would just take that. And I get it that the 1.75 is a lot of a premium, but
my team's looking like a strong contender, and I really needed some tight end help. So he literally thought about it for like a week before he accepted too. So I mean, I wasn't even able to take anything out of that. So I went with this league. The one guy, he has like 4 tight ends, and he's like, "No, I'm a huge tight end guy. I'm not going to trade any of them." So it's real tough to trade people.
Well, you're a big Higbee guy, Eric.
Yeah, I'm also a huge Higbee guy, so I think he's going to be great this year too. So.
And Cooper Kupp.
Dude, throw 22 picks around like they're nothing, because if you want it, you'll get it back later.
Yeah,
exactly. I wish I could remember what trade I just did where I threw a 22 pick out, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Yeah. Just because whatever, it's so far away, especially like from right now where we just finished the 2020 rookie drafts. It's just
exactly.
My line was, I can get it back whenever, and you know what? I'll trade for a different 2022 first, because I traded away the 112.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. My one of my leagues too, I had no picks, and I had 3 picks this year. It's just like you said, you just got to keep thinking about making moves. Don't make one trade and then say, "Oh, I'm done trading."
Oh,
make
always
a trade.
moves.
Yeah, make a trade to just keep making trades.
Yeah,
no, mine was for a tight end also. I just remembered it. I traded Paris Campbell, Mike Gesicki, and a 22 first for Zach Ertz and a 22 third.
Okay. So wait, there's
Well,
Paris
did you trade
Campbell,
for-
Jasicki, a second for Ertz and a third. I like that.
Outhouse, you traded for Ertz?
Yeah.
See, I'm on the other side with Ertz.
Keenan doesn't like Ertz.
I'm a sell Ertz guy. I sold him in 2 leagues. I literally only got a third round for him in one pick because I wanted a player really bad in our draft, and I just
Who was that player?
I was about to say, I need to know who you wanted so much.
Cole Kmet. And I have Dallas Goedert on my team, and I looked at his age and his contract situation and what's going on.
Tight ends can play into their mid to late 30s,
Yeah,
and Zach Ertz's contract situation has been bad for the past 3 years, and they have kept just extending him.
He still has
I-
2 more years left.
I have
believe.
so many Goddard shares because I'm like, nope, this is going to happen next year. Or Ertz is going to cost too much money. They're going to have to get rid of him. And then they just keep restructuring or extending. I'm over it at this point. I don't think Ertz is going to do. I don't think Ertz is going to do what he did last year. Or especially the year before. I mean, that's also my love of Rager, because I think he's going to do well enough that they won't need to use Ertz as much. But I still think he will be super solid every week, dependable, and that's really. I have the Trade Addicts leagues are 1.75 for tight ends also. So with that much, just give me 4 or 5 catches a game, and I'll be happy with whatever he does with it.
You'll be regretting that trade when there's no NFL season and you're getting Ertz at 32.
Oh, quit it.
What?
No, let's talk about this for a second. If everyone if everyone goes up a year without any wear or tear on their body, does it matter? If it happens to everybody, are we still upset about it?
That's true. Like Gronkowski,
That's
is it
true.
really a negative? He was gone for a year.
I guess.
I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to come back and be Gronk of old, but was it a negative that he's going to come back after taking a year off? And I mean,
that dude needed some time off. That dude's body.
He needed some, a lot of time. But you're right, though. That's going to be.
That's a good point. I'll give you
If that does happen, everybody's fresh. I mean, that would be crazy. You would hope everybody would stay physical and fit with that.
But imagine going into a year where no one is injured. How weird would that be? Of course, once training camp started, it would start happening. But right away at the beginning, no one is really coming unless someone did something really stupid in the off season, or what was it, Dave Garrard broke his leg once, slipping by the side of a pool.
CJ Spiller slipped on our side and he tweaked his ankle for a month. Oh, that was rough. But I mean, even speaking on that next season too, if they're talking about this impact of no fans, I mean, the salary cap could potentially drop almost 30%. That could really impact 2021 offseason. I mean, not to go too far down the rabbit hole with this, but that's something that people should maybe look into during this offseason. I'm sure we'll get more information as we get there, but
it's all imaginary numbers anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're not wrong there. They'll start getting a luxury tax like the NBA. So let's move on maybe to another trade here. Marquise Brown for a 21 first and a 21 third. Now, I'm pretty high on Marquise Brown, and I think I would do this trade. I think it was another trade that Eric made, but I would definitely
same exact league, same exact team,
same exact trade, same.
It was my contender team. I was just desperate for depth, and I love Hollywood too. So yeah, I think you're going to see him this year. He's going to be fully healthy. He's going to be on full snap count. Hopefully.
You mean he's going to be 12 months out of that foot injury? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
It's going to be a good thing for him. We're going to talk a lot more about him a little later, but do you think what side do you think you'd have there, Outhouse?
It's pretty even to me. I had a much larger trade where Hollywood was part of it, and when I put it together in my head, it was Hollywood's worth a little more than a second to me, a 21 second. So I'm not the biggest fan. He's so little, it scares me. That's really the biggest part. And the efficiency he needs to keep up in that offense to be what I think people think what he has the talent to be and what he will produce in that offense, I think is a little not connecting. If he was on a more high-flying passing team, I think he would be a lot better. But the efficiency they need to keep in that offense is insane for him to, be worth what I think he's going for. So if I was a competing team and I believed in Marquise Brown, I would easily send a first and a third. I have a team that I have no idea what I'm doing with, and I got Baker and Calvin Ridley, and those are two of my love people in the NFL. So I was willing to spend a little more and sold Hollywood. I was fine getting rid of him for a little less than what probably could have gotten for him.
Yeah.
Well,
I got Baker as my QB two in that league. Josh Allen and Baker are my two QBs.
Ooh, I love that combo.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I want to say there, though, about Marquise is 10 out of the 14 games, his snap percentage was under 65%. So he wasn't on the field. We obviously have to attribute that, I'm sure, to his foot injury.
Mm-hmm.
But if he starts jumping up to 90% of snaps, or even just 85, 90 would be a lot. But even if he can get to 80 or 85, that would be a lot more. And out of those games, he had 6 of them with at least double-digit PPR points. That's a pretty good, like you said, it's extremely efficient. And I think he can definitely continue to be efficient even with the higher target volume, because he had just 7 touchdowns on 71 targets. So if he can even increase that to maybe 100 targets and get 60 catches, I think it's very real to think he can get 1,000 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns. But I've also seen him be able to maneuver so well, even just in the short game. He's actually a really underrated route runner. He's very good at that. I'm really excited for Marquise Brown, but I can definitely see that aside where, maybe that throwing the ball not that much wouldn't attribute well to him.
And they don't use a lot of the screen game either. So it's tough to, we were always waiting for the next Tyreek Hill at this point. Like, that's who we're looking for. The problem is Tyreek Hill is such a freaking outlier that that's not really going to happen. We're looking for Marquise Brown to be the next Deshaun Jackson. And Deshaun Jackson is old at this point, and there hasn't been anyone like him since. And so that makes it harder for me to believe that Marquise Brown will be able to keep this up. I mean, I always root for everyone to succeed because it's more fun if there's more fantasy points being scored, but I don't know if I'll believe it'll happen.
The only thing that scares me about Hollywood is Lamar Jackson able to throw that ball outside the numbers? We all know that he loves his tight ends in the middle of the field, and Marquise Brown's going to probably line up on outside the numbers. And like you said, they don't really throw the screen play enough. So if Lamar Jackson improves outside the numbers, I think
he did line up in the slot though. He did have some, I think it was like 20 or 30% though. He was in the slot, so they did use him a couple places. But I think so much of it is that damn foot. That's why I think it's just going to be a big change for them, and they want to stay fast. They drafted Prochet. They drafted oh my goodness, Duvernay. Thank you, Devin Duvernay. Yeah, like they're going to stay fast, and Mark Andrews, unfortunately with the diabetes, can't play a normal snap count of an elite tight end, so somebody has to replace that, and that's where Miles Boykin will come in and they'll take away from Marquise. But they got to throw it more. I know that's what we're all coming down to, and
they won't.
They're going for sure.
Yeah, they have to. So let's move. Why don't we move over to our segment? I think we'll come back to the Mafia Market a little later, because I know Eric has a little bone to pick with Outhouse about Cooper Kupp. So speaking on Marquise Brown, I want to move to our year 2 wide receivers ADP. So we're going to go over their positional ADP. But what I want to talk about first is just ask a question. So 18 wide receivers since 2000 have had more than 900 yards, 900 or more yards as rookies. We kind of talked about that a little earlier with three more coming last season with DK, Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and A.J. Brown. Deebo Samuel had 802, so he wasn't too far off, and he didn't play a full season, so that's something to attribute it to. But I want to know maybe what you guys think with DK, McLaurin, and A.J. Brown, how that maybe could fare for them, because the list of the 18 players is actually pretty astonishing when you look at it. So I'm going to read that off real quick. It's Juju Smith-Schuster, A.J. Green, Marquise Colston, Dwayne Bowe, Sammy Watkins, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Andre Johnson, Deshaun Jackson, Odell Beckham Jr., Michael Thomas, Mike Evans, Michael Clayton, Eddie Royal, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, not the Charger. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Charger. And then Kelvin Benjamin and Anquan Bolden. So the point of reading off that list is how many of those names do you recognize? And that's all since 2000. Those are all
Do
fit.
you
It's a
remember
fantastic,
Eddie Royal? Oh, man.
right?
Wow. I forgot that name until
That was the Jay
wow.
Cutler time too.
So, oh man, that guy was fun to watch.
He did but his rookie season plus I think there was another season besides his rookie where he had a great year. Besides that, those were his top 2 years.
Yeah.
But he's one of the few on this list that really had a negative career after their rookie season. You can see it's an astonishing list. So we're going to talk about the second-year wide receivers today. But like I said, DK McLaurin and AJ Brown being on that, does this mean anything to you?
Well, I mean, these guys are awesome in the first place. Let's go through each of them. DK Metcalf, man, I don't think anybody saw him being not necessarily this good because he's a beast, but I'm a Seahawks fan, so I guess I've seen it a little more than anyone else. Well, that
I
isn't.
loved him coming in last year.
Yeah, see, I wanted AJ Brown so bad that I was just it didn't matter who they drafted, I was going to be upset about it. But like they were so smart with him where they took it nice and easy in the beginning. And then as the year went on, he ran more and more routes. And the thing is that he was running them pretty well. And the biggest thing with DK is he became Doug Baldwin, where it's, play breaks down because the offensive line is atrocious as always. Russell Wilson's running. Oh, there's DK. I'm just going to throw the ball at him. He'll catch it. And that makes you the number one receiver in the Seahawks because that's, like I just said, have to play because their offensive line's atrocious. Mm-hmm. So DK Metcalf getting better as the season went on, which means he still can get better. Plus him being that guy that Russell Wilson looks for, I think gives him a huge ceiling. Terry McLaurin, was, again, great. But, man, who were his quarterbacks? They were so bad. And exactly. He still did so well. And they didn't, and we don't have to worry about Antonio Gandy Golden. He's not going to steal targets from Terry McLaurin. So
that's what I was going to ask.
He's still the guy. Like, McLaurin is still easily the guy there. And then AJ Brown is just freaking awesome. So, not much is going to change for him. I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for the offense to be as efficient as they were. Like, Tannehill, was Tannehill bad or was it Adam Gase is one of those, the real question, or is Tannehill really this good? So maybe, but still, AJ Brown is that good. So I think all three of them are, could easily be on this list. Like, they deserve to be there. So I definitely think they have bright futures, and I am all in on. I tried to go on a mini buying DK streak, but I only got one.
Well, you are a Seahawks man, so
I did. Before all of our rookie drafts, I traded Leonard Fournette, Mecole Hardman, and Anthony Miller for DK Metcalf and 105.
Oh wow, that's a great trade for you.
Yeah,
I was
excited about that. He was desperate for running back help, and he's a competing team too, so he was
so Fournette's good for him, yeah. But in 20 minutes from now, DK is going to be worth more than Fournette, so that easily works out for you.
20 minutes. What league was it?
Jeremy's league, Pope's league, yeah.
Well, who did you trade?
What did you say?
Who accepted that trade? I'm gonna go to their house right now.
I think it was Scoots.
Oh my god!
I gotta double check though.
Alex, classic Alex.
Well, talking about DK here. He did finish 33rd last year in PPR, but his current ADP for wide receivers is 18. Now he got exactly 100 targets. There's rumors about Antonio Brown. Outhouse Seattle fan here. Are you worried at all? And do you think that 18th is a good spot for DK?
I think it's good because will DK Metcalf be a top 12 fantasy wide receiver? Probably not. He could, though. Will he be wide receiver 24? Probably not. He could, though.
Yeah.
So like being right in the middle in that 18 spot is kind of perfect, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Well-
I'm all about that 18 spot. I think I have him higher than that,
Yeah.
but it makes sense that he's there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you because a bunch of your guys, Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson, and Kenny Galladay, 12, 14, and 15, do you think that's where DK should be,
Yes.
in your opinion?
He is probably the bottom of that tier.
Yeah.
But he belongs in that tier for sure.
The only thing I want to ask you, Outhouse, does it scare you that he is going to be that true number one this year, where Lockett, his age, he's 28, and defenses are going to adjust more into covering Metcalf more over Lockett?
Nope.
Or do you think
Here's the
Russell
thing.
Wilson?
I don't think Lockett was getting blanketed in any way, shape, or form. The thing with the Seahawks offense is you have to play close to the line of scrimmage against them because they run so much and because Russell Wilson can run. So I don't think that really comes into play. And first of all, DK's a gigantic man. So, I mean, him getting double coverage isn't really the biggest like concern because he can just like go through and over people to catch a ball. But no, I think they have to play very balanced because, I mean, I said before, you don't really want to trust, like Deshaun Jackson like efficiency, but like Lockett, he's done it 2 years in a row. Where, I mean, man, 2 years ago where he literally had a perfect passer rating.
That was insane. It's Wilson, man. He's just
He's
good.
so damn good. The trajectory of his deep ball is like art to watch. Like it literally almost drops straight down into people's hands. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can really like putting one person on Lockett is a terrible idea without having a safety on top. Which means you're going to double both wide receivers, which means, man, they're just going to run a draw, put it in the belly of hopefully Chris Carson, who's hopefully has his legs and hips in one place. And, he'll just run for a 60-yard touchdown. I mean, I'll be sad for my fantasy shares of those wide receivers, but I'll be super happy as a Seahawks fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly like you said, where Wilson just drops those deep balls. That's what I would do when I would watch, DK play. All of a sudden, that ball's just coming, and he just goes up and he gets it. Yeah, and it's just like you can make those plays. Like, I'm not saying Randy Moss, he's not going to be Randy Moss, but it just reminded me a bit of like Tom Brady and Randy Moss in 07, where he would just launch it, and then DK's there because he can be that guy.
All right.
But let me
I'm going to
ask.
go on two separate little rants right now. First
all
of
right.
all, I freaking Randy Moss on the Patriots. I hate the Patriots just because they're the Patriots, but that dude Randy Moss would take like 5 steps and then throw his hand in the air to say he was open. It was the greatest thing to watch. Like,
Oh, it wasn't.
it was just so much fun. Sorry, guys. But it was just so great. And because he was Randy Moss and he had it was so much fun. Like, seriously, 5 steps and he's like calling for the ball. It was so good. But back to the Seahawks for a second. I, like everyone else, for a long time was screaming like, "You're paying Russell Wilson this much money. Why aren't you letting him throw the ball?" The reason they pay him so much money is because he's as good as he is. Because the few times they throw it, they know he is going to put that ball where it needs to be. So that's why the low volume of Seattle's passing game doesn't scare me for either Wilson or their wide receivers for fantasy purposes, because they are that efficient. They are that good because Russell Wilson is that good. And because they don't usually get guys who drop the ball too often either. Freaking curse and leaves the team and then all of a sudden does great on the Lions for a season or two or something. But like he would every third down he'd drop the ball. It was so freaking infuriating. But
someone's not going to drop the ball now that they got, and that's Greg Olsen. And now Will Dissly's healthy. That's another thing that I think.
Well, Dissly's always healthy, right?
Hey, you stop it. I'm always riding the Will Dissly train. I may have accidentally traded a 202 for him like 4 months ago.
Like, was there heavy air quotes around?
Before we knew it was a 202. Before we knew that.
Okay.
But I was also, a little high. Anyways, so
a little what?
Sorry, high on Dissly. So
either way, the statement worked. It's fine.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to get at was Dissly and Olsen. Like, nobody's been there last season to take care of the middle of the field. So safeties were always able to go after Lockett or DK. They're going to be there now, especially Olsen. Like, I think they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. It's going to protect Wilson. I mean, he's great. He needs to almost get out of the pocket, like you said. But Yeah, I think DK's in for an extremely efficient year again, and it can mean 10 touchdowns upside. It really can.
Oh yeah, that dude's a
Absolutely,
beast.
yeah.
Yeah.
And let's shift over from DK. He's getting a lot of attention. Somebody with some extremely high upside, Terry McLaurin, with a current ADP of 24, and he finished 29th last year in PPR. He did only have the 14 games, but he did have a little bit more. He had 19 more yards and the same amount of catches than DK, but did have 7 less targets. He had extremely identical numbers to Juju in his rookie year. Do you think McLaurin's the next player to maybe make that extreme ascension to elite level, even though he doesn't have an elite quarterback, Keenan?
I don't know, man. That's the part that scares me. I call him Scary Terry. I love him. I last year, I picked him up in waivers and he won me a couple leagues. But the thing that scares me is the quarterback. Are they going to figure that out? Who's their quarterback?
Dwayne
Haskins.
Yeah, is he going
Or
to?
Kyle Allen. Come
I
on,
was
we don't
just
know.
Yeah.
Well, I think Kyle Allen's better, but they're going to obviously go with Haskins. But that's the thing that scares me is he going to be able to produce the numbers he produced last year?
Hey, Haskins got McLaurin drafted,
Yeah.
so maybe. I mean,
You're
I'm
damn
not,
right he did.
that isn't enough to make me shift to a yes, but
Yeah,
The thing is Rivera going to want Haskins to be his guy? He's obviously going to give him the chance to prove it, but there's a good chance
not revise any history to try and make ourselves believe that Kyle Allen was good.
He's only there for comfortability.
Oh, no.
If Dwayne Haskins gets injured, he knows the offense.
Yes.
That's all they want. They trust Dwayne Haskins. He's going to get McLaurin the ball.
If it's going south and they end up with one of these really good QBs next year, then McLaurin's upside.
Yeah, that's way different.
I don't care how much you like your quarterback. You fumble your way into Lawrence or Fields.
Exactly.
Buy old quarterback.
Yeah.
But if they get one of Lawrence or Fields, then how much upside does McLaurin have? It just skyrockets, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the best. I think he really is the best of this group. I mean, obviously it's extremely arguable, but I love Terry McLaurin. I really like Paris Campbell coming out. I really liked Paris Campbell coming out, and that's when McLaurin just comes out of nowhere. It really shows you something. The fact that he's with Dwayne Haskins, his old college guy, I don't want to say I fully believe into it. Mason Rudolph and James Washington didn't really work out, but I think these guys are somebody that can do it. Dwayne Haskins had like over 50 touchdowns. But Terry McLaurin is the first player in NFL history to catch at least 5 passes and a touchdown in his first 3 games. PFF, Pro Football Focus, graded him the second highest rated rookie in the last decade. Again, we say this, and we didn't even know his quarterback's name a second ago. I mean, we got to know that he is going to be a fantastic player. You should be buying him. I mean, I'd pay the 105. I'd pay the 104 maybe for him. Maybe if I didn't need a quarterback, but I would go that high.
I was looking at a chart.
Wow, I might be the only one going that high. I don't know. I definitely,
I would be terrified of sending the 4, but the 5, I would definitely.
So knowing what I know now, he would be my top receiver in this class, obviously. But I still would have him. I still would have him personally in the top.
Are we talking talent wise, or are we still talking fantasy? Like if we were
fantasy wise. Sorry, yeah, we're talking fantasy wise. Like if I was doing a draft right now, I would want McLaurin over all these guys.
Well, you would still take McLaurin over AJ Brown.
Oh, sorry, just with the rookies this year. Like if he was in this rookie class.
Oh, in this rookie class.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. If he was in this rookie class, like he'd be number 1. Sorry, no. And yes, I would actually take him over AJ Brown, but we will talk about that in a second.
Man, you got to find some trades to get rid of AJ Brown. And
I also feel like Washington didn't use him enough last year. There's a chart that Pro Football Focus posted not too long ago, and
sponsor your show or something.
Yeah. But from week 7, 8, 9, and 10, he was used as a fourth option on other teams. So they weren't using him enough. And then weeks 5, 6, and 7, he was used like he was number 1 wide receiver on the team. So I feel like they didn't use him right, but he still put up those great numbers. If they would have used them in every single week, the way they should have, I think he would even had larger, better stats.
He only had four games with 9+ targets.
Yeah.
And he did this in 14 games. He had 58 catches, 919 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I mean, with a crappy quarterback, a rookie quarterback at that, I'm sorry, not crappy. He's going to progress himself this year. He will. I do think Haskins has an opportunity. I just, like I said, I really, really do like what McLaurin brings to the table. And I like F1 McLaurin instead of Scary Terry.
Nah, Scary.
Well, he chose F1, so I'm going to stick with F1.
Exactly.
I respect the man's decision.
Me and my couple buddies started at.
Well, it definitely grew with everybody. That's for sure.
The thing with him last year, I tried to trade him so many times after he had those. He had a great week 6 and a week, what was it? Here, week 7, I think, and no one bid on him. And I'm glad no one took the trades, because now I'm loving that he's on my team.
Yep.
Yeah, let's move to the aforementioned A.J. Brown. So ADP of the 8th wide receiver right now. Finished 21st in PPR last year, but we know he didn't start the full season. Didn't really get onto it until a little after week 6. Ryan Tannehill came traded from Miami, so he wound up finishing as the wide receiver 3 in non-PPR and the number 7 in PPR when Tannehill started, which was a total of 10 games. So Outhouse, let's battle this out here. Let's talk about A.J. Brown.
What? Well,
I know we're going to be splitting hairs, I'm sure. They're great players.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like that is too high for someone we've seen do it for a couple of games with, again, like when the Titans didn't miss touchdowns. It's so weird to say that. Like they never had to kick field goals. Like their touchdown efficiency was insane. Like, everything about their offense was insane. I love A.J. Brown as a player. I think he's really good. Wide receiver 8? That's nuts. That's way too high. Can't get him that much lower, though, to be fair. Like, you can't push him that much further down. So, yeah,
Your boy Odell Beckham is at 9.
Oh, I'd take Odell over him.
Yeah.
You won't have to, but I will.
Yeah, and 9's Odell, 10's Mike Evans,
Yep,
and then 11's Amari.
Yep.
You take Amari?
Yep.
And Kenny Galladay. Okay. Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, 15.
See, here's my thing, because A.J. Brown is that number 1 guy. Calvin Ridley, it will be 2 years before he takes over what hopefully by then will be a slowing down Julio Jones, because I need Calvin Ridley to just be the greatest person ever with the amount of love and shares I have of him. But yeah, no, I still AJ Brown over Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, it is tough to pass up, because on those full snaps, he was on pace for 60 catches, 1,424 yards, and 11 touchdowns. So we know there has to be a regression. He had 20.2 yards per catch, which was the highest in the league since 2014 for a rookie.
Wow.
And for a rookie, it was the highest since 1995. So we know my man can catch a deep ball, and it's not even just that though. He can do it behind the line, and he'll take it 80 yards if he needs to. He's extremely athletic, and yeah, I was higher on AJ Brown than Metcalf, but I wasn't super high on either. I didn't like Tennessee. I'm sure a lot of people didn't, but it's tough, so tough to trust in Tannehill. You're right. Was it Gase? He didn't do so bad with was it Dan Campbell? I think he had him right in the beginning. Maybe I'm wrong. Muscle Man Dan, but I don't know. I think I think that AJ Brown, his efficiency will have to go down, or his targets will have to go up.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in Ryan Tannehill. We know what Ryan Tannehill is based on what he did in Miami. If they didn't sign Ryan Tannehill to that 4-year deal, and they signed him to a 1 or 2-year deal, and that would kind of give me hope that they were going to draft a quarterback in the near future, I take A.J. Brown in a dynasty league in 8th overall all day. But the fact that they committed to Ryan Tannehill for 4 years, that's kind of scary.
He did have that for that one season where he was healthy. In Miami, he had like a 5,000 yard season. So I don't think he's bad by any means. But man, as long as they have their defense playing as well as they do, and if they keep stringing Derrick Henry along, they're a playoff team. So I mean, I don't think they're going to be in the line to draft a quarterback within the next 2 years anyway.
And that was my next point is with Derrick Henry. I need Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball more for AJ Brown to be at 8. There's 5 games last year that Ryan Tannehill completed 15 passes or less.
Yep, sounds about right.
And it's just not enough. It's not enough for me to say I'm drafting AJ Brown at 8, where I can just get Odell Beckham Jr. with Mayfield throwing him the ball 30, where Mayfield's throwing the ball 30 times a game.
Yeah, I was very surprised that he was wide receiver 8. You're paying for age and potential. He's not going to finish as a top 10 guy this year, not even top 12, I don't think. I could definitely see a top 15 finish. I think he's going to be better. He's going to get more work overall, more targets most likely. But that offense runs through Derrick Henry. It's going to run through Derrick Henry. They want to extend Derrick Henry to a long-term contract. So Tannehill, I agree. Tannehill's actually I do think he's pretty good. He's not one of the worst QBs in the league. I'd say he's a middle of the pack starter. But yeah, the issue is they just don't pass a lot. But I'm not real big on Corey Davis or anybody else they have there. So he's going to be the guy. He's hopefully going to be a little bit more consistent throughout the season this year. But yeah, I don't see a top 8 finish at all.
Yeah, that's something that we're all talking about is they got to throw the ball more. And only 4 teams since 2014 have had less than 450 pass attempts, and it was the 2018 and 19 Titans, the 2019 Ravens, and the 2018 Seahawks. Now, who's on those teams? Marquise Brown, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf. The 49ers had 452 attempts, so if you want to include them, Deebo Samuel. So you have extremely efficient teams that don't throw the ball so much, so you have to rely on that. We already know the Seahawks are efficient as long as Russell Wilson's on that team. The Titans have done it for 2 years in a row where they have, or at least 1 year so far, so we can see what maybe Ryan Tannehill will do. But, yeah, they have to throw the ball more, and I'm intrigued to see Jonnu Smith start to maybe break out in that tight end role because Tannehill did so well with Charles Clay for the limited year, couple years that he had him. So I think he maybe will take some relief off of A.J. Brown, but he needs those targets. Anybody else got anything more to say on A.J. Brown?
So we all love A.J. Brown. It's just a spot.
It's just the price.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, it's tough because we want Odell and Mike Evans and a couple other players. But as Eric stated, we like that youth also. So next is Deebo. He's going around ADP 26, Deebo Samuel for San Francisco. We did talk about him a bit earlier, so we don't have to touch on him too much. It was mentioned that he does have that Jones fracture and he could miss potentially 10 to 12 weeks. But just more so want to talk about that ADP of 26. He's in between Robert Woods and Tyler Lockett and only 2 behind Terry McLaurin and Jerry Jeudy. Do you think that maybe is too high for Deebo Samuel?
I bet over the next month when the next July ADP comes out, I bet it'll be a little bit lower than 26. So if you want him, just wait a little bit. But I mean, before the injury, I don't think it was too high at all. I would have definitely. You said it was between Lockett and Robert Woods.
Yeah, he's got Robert Woods right above him. Lockett's behind him. I mean, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor, Tyler Boyd are behind him. I think I'd want all 3 of those over Deebo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor, and Tyler Boyd. Even Marquise Brown's right behind there. Yeah, so I'm just I think you're right. I think what did we get this news? It was probably about 2 weeks ago, and yeah, June's almost over. So
yeah, I mean, I like Deebo. Like everyone's worried about Ayuk, but Ayuk can be there. He can take the top off while Deebo just does his work underneath. He that's what some people don't even realize, that he beats people underneath and he breaks big plays, and that's part of his game, and he can do that. And I think Ayuk would actually help that out. But I mean, obviously now with the injury, it's tough. But
yeah, especially like you said, I mean, they use him everywhere. I mean, from week 8 on, including in the playoffs, he had at least 50 all-purpose yards a game. So you've got a guy that is having some foot issues that you use more than just on passing plays. He's also running the ball. So it's hopefully he can just heal up, but I do think it's a little high.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably enough on Debo.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot for him as
well. Well, that's true. So we talked about Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown a bit. We don't need to really wrap too much on him, but I do want to ask a couple questions on these wide receivers that we just talked about. Who do you think has the highest ceiling out of them, Outhouse?
Out of the guys we just talked about?
Yeah, of A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Marquise Brown, and then if you want to put Debo in there.
Man, like putting team and talent and all of that. All right, so let's have some real fun. If Washington is terrible and they end up with Fields or Lawrence, then easily the answer is McLaurin right there. But man, DK is so Doug Baldwin was never the greatest wide receiver in the world. The only thing that was great about Doug Baldwin was his hands. That dude had the strongest hands in the world to beat off press coverage and to just grab that ball and not let go. DK is a beast compared to most people, but especially to Doug Baldwin. And if he is really assuming that role, I think his ceiling is just Doug Baldwin was a top 10 wide receiver for a few years. So I don't see why DK can't be
touchdowns. Yeah.
Like DK has multiple touchdown per game upside every single game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. DK has the highest ceiling. I mean, especially with the running backs there being, potentially hurt coming into the season, I can definitely see them throwing a little bit more, and that's only going to help DK even more. And I definitely think he's going to take over as the number one there. And he's only 22 years old. Yeah, I definitely agree he has the highest upside. But I do agree if the Redskins got Lawrence or Fields, then McLaurin would definitely be up there.
I definitely agree with both of you, especially with the news coming out not too long ago with Dolphins coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. He said that he tends to move DK around more in the offense. DK was used to just line up on the left side in college, so with him moving around, maybe playing more in the slot, maybe doing what Debo did in San Francisco, where doing reverse plays, trying to get some yards while running the ball. I think he's going to be more effective in that offense. He's going to become the true number one for them. He's going to take that next step over Lockett.
Well, I think we all have an agreement there. So let's go
You're not going to be different?
I kind of want to, but I want to say McLaurin, but I also, I actually will. I think I will say McLaurin. I will do that. I'm going to say McLaurin.
That's right. Plant your flag, man.
Yeah, I have to because, the problem was I was going to put him for the highest floor, which my next question is who would have the highest floor. So I'll talk about him for both. Like I said, though, I think I've already determined why he has the highest floor, in my opinion, because of what he did with that rough quarterback play. He is, in my opinion, what DJ Moore did in Carolina last year. Now you upgraded Teddy Bridgewater. It's not an amazing upgrade, but it's it's better than Kyle Allen. So if Dwayne Haskins can even make some progression, I think that McLaurin has a great shot at 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. So with that being said, that's why I do believe he's got the highest ceiling as well as the highest floor, because he's going to get the targets in that offense. I feel comfortable saying he's probably going to get the 100 targets. So that's where I'm going to stick. I'm going to go with McLaurin. So who do you think, Eric, has the highest floor of this class? I'm sorry, class, the 5 wide receivers.
If I were the highest floor, probably DK. Like I said, he's going to be the number one there. Like Outhouse said earlier, he's always going to be a threat to get multiple touchdowns. Anytime throwing the ball, he's going to catch it. He's going to be Russ's security blanket over the next however long, pretty much his whole career. So yeah, I think he's always going to be used. He's going to be great. So I'm going to stick with him.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Eric. I mean, it's going to be tough, to beat out the quarterback play that he has. over there in Seattle with Russell Wilson. So I'm gonna go with DK as well.
Well, now I want to feel like a super homer and just say DK also, but like, right? Okay, so let's put it this way: who else is going to get the ball in Washington right now? So, I mean, we can say McLaurin has a super safe floor because he is probably looking at a minimum of like 8 targets a game. I mean,
Yeah, true.
well, so if PPR he catches 4 of them, 5 of them, you're looking at probably a double-digit game just by accident. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there is unfortunately going to be games where Seattle throws the ball 12 times. It's just part of the truth of being a Seattle fan is
So frustrating
watching those
having
games.
Russell Wilson in one of my leagues.
Yeah, I do not own Russell Wilson in any leagues. I won't do it. It's too much of a roller coaster. Until Lockett and DK came around, I actually never really owned many Seahawks players in general. It's like a rule. I don't like owning players from my team.
Yeah.
I don't. The worst thing ever, and this came up because I drafted Hauschka, their kicker, one year in my redraft league that still had kickers, and like I remember like getting upset that they scored a touchdown because I only got 1 point instead of 3. I'm like, wait, no, like what? No more. Like I'm no more getting upset that Chris Carson ran it in and because Lockett didn't catch it. No more of that.
Yeah.
So I try to.
Yeah.
I won't do anything stupid, but I try to avoid having Seahawks on my teams. But now I love DK and Lockett too much to avoid that.
Oh, I can't. It's just efficiency worries me. Like I said, I know Russell Wilson does it no matter what with his guys, but when I have to rely on Lockett and DK to be very efficient, it just scares me. And I also like Lockett, and then I got to tell myself, oh, I have to pick the one that I hope is efficient, or then like you said, we're riding a roller coaster every week. So it does get tough for me, but I hope that DK can bring some more consistency. So will any of these 5 guys bust, do you think, Keenan? Any of these, do you think any of them maybe we saw some really good flashes, but they're going to start going backwards?
I want to say no, but that'd be the easy answer. But I do love this guy. I traded away a couple guys because I believe in Deebo Samuel as my third option at wide receiver. But I don't trust Jimmy G. That I think you mentioned it. They're more of a Kittle offense, and they run the ball more. Or maybe that was Outhouse. I think Deebo would be my guy there if there was going to be a bust. I truly don't think. I think all 5 of them have a bright career in the NFL, but Deebo would be my guy.
I'm go against my better judgment, and I'd say if there is a bust, I would say Deebo, but to be different, I'm gonna have to say Hollywood probably.
You're not gonna do it, are you? You did Hollywood?
Yeah, he's my guy, but like I said, I would pick Deebo. I want to be a little bit different here, and outside of everybody, I think AJ Brown, DK, and Terry are all going to be great. They're going to have great careers. I think Hollywood is going to also, but it's just like we said before, Baltimore was just so efficient. And is Lamar Jackson going to be able to keep that up for a long time?
Yeah.
And that whole situation there, who knows how long Lamar is going to be great for. If he doesn't last long, then Hollywood's probably not going to last long. But I guess I think he's going to be great, but he would be the one other one that I think would have the most chance to bust.
Yeah, I was going to go with Hollywood too because he's one of those guys that seems to have the ability to be the guy you describe as better for NFL football than for fantasy football.
Yeah.
Like he has the ability to open the field up for a team that likes to go underneath, that likes to use tight ends, that likes to run the ball way too much.
Yeah.
So like he will never, I don't think he's gonna like fade into obscurity by any way, shape or form, but I don't think 2 years from now, there's a chance we're not trading 1st-round picks for him anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'll put him in my 3rd because he'll catch that 60-yard bomb for a touchdown, which will be nice to have as my last flex spot. Not saying that is what's going to happen, but I think it's very easy to see that could happen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the same realm with the player I'm thinking of, which is AJ Brown. Um, it- and I am going to play the relative card of, we were just talking about ADP 8 compared to ADP 33 for Marquise, but AJ Brown, as we said, he needs to have a lot of targets. He's not going to have 20 yards per catch. He may come down. Let's just say he comes down to a regular elite downfield talent of 15 or 16 yards per catch, and he only gets you 50 catches. That's 800 yards. You're going to hope he needs 6 to 8 touchdowns to even consider himself on the borderline of a wide receiver 1, 2, and now we're drafting him as wide receiver 8. 2 years from now, Ryan Tannehill looks to still be there. Who knows if Derrick Henry's not there? If he's not there, well, now you got everybody focusing on Ryan Tannehill and potentially A.J. Brown. I'm just seeing a completely different world, of course. I don't necessarily believe it all, but I can certainly see A.J. Brown out of these 5 potentially in 2 years because of the suspect of the quarterback play and the offense, not necessarily because of his talent. He may still be fantastic and efficient, but he won't return what everybody maybe is looking for.
But
Yeah,
also, what if they don't re-sign Henry? What's that offense?
I don't think they're going to. I really don't.
I don't think they will either. And man, like that's tough to replace. Like maybe they go get Fournette, nice and cheap comparatively, but still, Fournette's not Derrick Henry. Like he's.
I'm afraid they think Darrington Evans is.
I like the idea of Darrington Evans.
Yeah.
Not as Derrick Henry, but I still just think he's good in an offense. Like I have a lot of shares in him because they did say they want to throw the ball to the running back a little more, and Henry is not that guy. Yeah. So I do think Evans will get the ball a bit, but he'll never be the one guy.
But is Henry not that guy? The amount of time, I mean, he's got what,
he's a screen guy. That's fine. No, everybody can catch a screen pass. Let's face it, I could catch a screen pass. I died the second I caught the ball.
But not many running backs can plow guys over and go 60 yards down the field.
Yeah, like if they can make it so he catches the ball and has like 5-6 steps before a defender gets there, that's a great play. I mean, Evans, you're going to send on wheel routes. You're not going to really send Henry on wheel routes.
I agree with that absolutely. I agree with that definitely.
But if Henry's trying to get, what do you want? Ezekiel Elliott numbers. I'm hoping that they figure something out and keep him there for the long term, just because I think it's extremely fun to just watch him play. Just watching someone his size just run that fast, just breaking 80-yard touchdown runs is just insane. But
like you, Eric, back in your days.
Yeah, they handed one ball off to me and I dropped it one time.
They never gave you the ball again, huh?
No, coach told me to get back on the line.
Coach Gray?
No, it was like JV year.
Oh, JV.
Yeah. But where were we? But yeah, I hope they sign him, but there's obviously a very good chance that they won't. And if they don't, then I think it could turn into an offense with that. AJ Brown's going to get a lot more work, and he could potentially hit on that wide receiver 8 value, but I guess I agree with you to where he won't necessarily be a bust, but he could be a bust compared to like what people thought he's going to be. I guess if that makes sense. Like if he finishes wide receiver 16, you're not upset. Like it was still a really good year, but he's a bust compared, in a sense to where he didn't hit the top 8 numbers that you paid for.
Yeah, I think there's a better shot that Marquise outperforms his ADP than obviously AJ Brown would, even if he was at 10 or 12. So we'll see how July gets. But what I want to move on to is maybe a couple of the other year 2 wide receivers. If there's any of them you want to touch on, you like Deontay Johnson, Darius Slayton, McCole Hardman, Preston Williams, or Hunter Renfrow. Is there anything anybody wants to say about those guys that maybe intrigues them, or is someone that they think could make that jump?
I think people should be buying up some Darius Slayton. I want to say a couple of weeks ago his ADP was 49. It jumped up to 41 now. But if you look, he's 23 years old. In his rookie season last year, he finished as the wide receiver 37. So all he has to do is just match his numbers from last year, and he's already beating the ADP you're buying him at. And I can easily see him doing much better. I mean, Golden Tate's not going to be there for the long term. Sterling Shepard, he's a good wide receiver, but he's not great in my opinion. I can definitely see Darius Slayton taking over there. He's a big play guy. Daniel Jones is going to like to go to him. They upgraded their offensive line there, so hopefully it'll help Jones out a little bit too. And yeah, I think just you're paying almost nothing to get him, and I think he's somebody that can easily finish as a top 30 wide receiver.
I bought a bunch of Mecole Hardman stocks because Sammy Watkins decided to tell everyone that he was going to retire after the Super Bowl. And that kind of bit me in the butt. That would have been my guy that I would tell everyone to buy some shares of him. But I do agree with you, Eric, with Darius Slayton. I think that offense with Daniel Dimes, as you like to call him, I think they're going to improve, and I think he's going to become that number one there in New York.
No one else. I mean,
what's that?
I like Preston Williams too. He's like ADP 53 or something like that.
He's got a low ADP. Deontay Johnson's ADP 40. I mean, terrible quarterback play with Mason Rudolph and Hodges. We got Big Ben coming back. Juju was injured in and out. He had at least 6 targets in 10 of the games. So, and then in the end, when Juju got injured, he had at least 60 yards in the end of his game. So I think he's someone that can take a good leap with getting just under 700 yards with that rough quarterback play. And like I said, Big Ben's coming in. Pittsburgh does really well with their wide receivers. They drafted Claypool, who can play on the outside. I like Deontay Johnson the most, I think, out of these guys.
Except Johnson probably at this point has the highest price out of all of them.
That's true.
Like his hype is getting a little out of control where I think it's past the point. I agree with everything you said. Like he did really well, even with awful quarterback play. So let's say Ben does come back. Juju comes back healthy. Can we have that shift where Juju is now Antonio Brown and Deontay Johnson is Juju? I mean, does that lead to Deontay Johnson getting over 100 targets? Maybe. I mean, is he the player that Juju was? Probably not. But that still can lead to a 1,000-yard season and a couple of touchdowns pretty easily.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's going to lead. They're going to be up there leading the league again in targets, and Deontay had 92 of them last year. So, I mean, that's just about 6 targets a game. So if Ben's going to come in and do at least that, it's going to be better balls. Mm-hmm. And he caught almost 65% of that. 65% of terrible quarterback play. Like that's kind of underrated, I think. I mean, I'm not saying they were the longest. Obviously, they were shorter passes as well, but he did really well with that. I think that's about it, right? I think that's about it for our wide receiver twos, our second-year wide receivers. If we'd like, though, I want Outhouse and Eric to talk about this Cooper Kupp and Zach Moss for Mike Williams in a 21 first trade.
Can I go grab my popcorn real quick?
Get some butter. So, Eric, why don't you start us? Actually, Outhouse, I guess. Why don't you start us off with maybe some why you're siding on the Mike Williams in 21 first?
Get him, Outhouse.
Okay, so here's the thing. Value-wise, it's probably the Kupp side. But, man, I'm terrified of Cooper Kupp right now. Like, okay, that's a lie. Terrified is really the wrong word. But the second half of last year, they were in 21 personnel, which takes him out of the slot. And Cooper Kupp's really bad against man, especially really bad against press coverage. That dude needs to be in the slot. And if they're taking away slot receivers, he's in a little bit of trouble. Now, don't get me wrong. He still scored double-digit points like the last 5 weeks of the season. I looked today because I think we were arguing about it in the Cool Kids Club at one point. And yeah, he was still doing well, but like he's not going to be the wide receiver like 3 or whatever ridiculous he ended up the last year anyway. Like I think that ceiling is gone. So, but Mike Williams with even if it's Tyrod's really good at throwing. He has really good deep ball accuracy. Justin Herbert has a really strong arm. Mike Williams, hey man, I am hashtag team Big Clemson wide receiver, so I'm all about Mike Williams. So I think he can finally shine. And honestly, I'm not a Zach Moss fan, so him or the first value-wise is probably even enough. I'd rather take the first. But right now, Kupp is worth more than Williams. I will absolutely attest to that.
Yeah.
But going forward, I would not be surprised if they are even or swapped positions. Again, not against Cooper Kupp. It's just they're taking his position away and drafted another guy just like him. So that also leads me to believe he might not be getting re-signed.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think they do end up getting him re-signed and figuring that out. But so you say, I know you think his ceiling is gone, but the way I look at it, like I know it's a small sample size, but for the last 5 weeks, which is when they switched to doing multiple tight end sets and switched their whole offense up. If you take his numbers, which he was averaging 17.2 points per game during that span. If you take that on a 16-game basis, he's right in between Devontae Adams and Mike Evans, which I believe puts him at, I believe it was like the wide receiver 6 on the year.
Are we talking about two guys that got hurt for the couple of weeks at the end?
No, I'm talking about
points per game basis, right?
Oh, okay, all right. I was about to say, don't you start pulling that trickery on me.
No. Yeah, no, that was points per game in a full PPR league. So, and I think the ceiling is, I do agree his ceiling came down a little bit, but I still think it's there for him to be a top 10 wide receiver. He's currently being drafted as like the wide receiver 18 or 19, I believe, right now.
That's
17.
a good price. That's good. I would take him at 17. That's below his floor, I think. I'll say that.
He's right above DK.
And for me, I don't even see Mike Williams as a top 25 wide receiver, to be honest. I'm not a huge Herbert fan. He could be good. It could work out there. And I know you like Tyrod, but I do think Tyrod's he's only going to be there for maybe the first half of the year. They drafted Herbert high. They're going to give him a chance.
Yeah, but they're both guys that can and are willing to throw the ball far, which
I
don't know which one Rivers was last year, but that ball wasn't going very far. So Mike Williams was absolutely capped. I absolutely agree there is a gap between the value of Cooper Kupp and Mike Williams, but I think that will change.
Can I interject? So
No.
My only one, my concern here with Tyrod, obviously he played in Buffalo. We got to watch him for a couple years. He was able to have production with Sammy, but he also had Robert Woods and Marquise Brown, or not Marquise Brown.
No.
Percy Harvin.
No.
How far back we going?
Sorry. Oh, geez, I'm blanking on San Francisco. He left us.
Marquise Brown.
Speedy.
No, Goodwin.
Sorry, Marquise Goodwin. My apologies.
Wow.
So Marquise Goodwin, my point being with him, he wasn't able to get him the ball as well as he should have been. Sammy Watkins made Tyrod look good his rookie season. I don't know if
was that another hashtag Team Clemson wide receiver guy you're talking about?
Yes.
All right, cool. I like where this is going. I like where this is going.
I don't know if he can do that again. Tyrod's highest touchdowns in a season was 20. So if you're I'm expecting him to play all season. Let's just play that game. If he plays all season and let's say he gets 24 touchdowns, if you need Mike Williams to get 30% of those touchdowns to get you 8, because he's not going to get you more than probably 50 catches with Tyrod. And with that, he's got to get you 750 yards.
But they also don't have the running backs to run the ball as much as Buffalo ever did.
But do they now though? With Eckler and
Chargers?
Jackson?
No.
Yeah.
No, Eckler's not that
So,
guy.
yeah, and I mean, I know that
I
that Anthony Lynn loves Tyrod, so I'm hoping they're going to throw the ball some more. I really am, for Williams' sake, because I loved Williams. I really did, but I just really think he takes a big hit with Tyrod, and I'm hoping Herbert.
I think anything is better than what Rivers was last year.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of the Chargers, I'll be honest, but I know
that
there was a lot of ducks.
Yes,
I guess so. Here's my question: what do you think, pick wise, is the difference between Mike Williams and Cooper Kupp? Outhouse.
To make a trade, like if I wanted to trade Mike Williams for Cooper Kupp, what would I have to add?
Yeah, or if you're giving up Cooper Kupp, what would you want it added to Mike Williams?
Second.
A second. Okay. Would you want a high second or just any second?
Well, again, if we're talking 21s, I don't play the guessing game, so it's random.
Okay.
I count everything as the
fair.
middle. So I'd be fine with a mid-second.
Okay, yeah. So for me, it's like, I liked it. Especially adding, just adding Moss too. I don't think Moss is going to be anything special. But it never hurts to have running back depth added to a trade. And like I said, I think he's going to be used more than Gore was. So I think you're looking at potentially 200, maybe even a little bit more touches. He's going to vulture touchdowns on the goal line. If you look at Frank Gore, he had 11 carries inside the 5 yards, and he only scored 1 touchdown on it. So I think Moss is going to be much better. They're definitely going to want to use him more. So he's good. He's good depth to add in that. So yeah, that's why I was siding with that side.
No, it's a good trade. Don't get me wrong. For a competing team to get Cup and Moss, who I think will, like you said, get at least Frank Gore touches. And I agree, probably a bit more. So no, I think it's a good trade on both sides, to be fair. So, but I like Mike Williams.
Would you rather have Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs? Outhouse.
I need you guys to tell me how to feel about Stephon Diggs right now. I don't know. Like I have been struggling with valuing Stephon Diggs ever since this happened. I don't have the answer. I want it to be. I love Diggs as a player. I don't know what to do with him right now because, yes, John Brown did great last year, but John Brown's still there, and they are 2 fantastic route runners and fantastic deep ball route runners. So what's the split's going to be? They're not going to give up on John Brown now. Plus, they still have really good underneath receivers as well in Knox and Cole Beasley still there. And now Singletary's going to get more worked into the passing game, I would imagine. So they don't pass the ball that much. So we are hoping pretty much for the same thing we got from Diggs in Minnesota, which is a 20-yard touchdown to save our day. But Allen's not as accurate as Cousins. So no. I am lost. I have no idea.
Don't be lost. Just take your own advice. We don't draft Bills players. Just like you don't draft Seattle players. Yeah. We stay away from the Bills.
No, I think you're looking at what John Brown was last year, but a little bit better. What John Brown, he got like 118 targets, I believe it was. I honestly could see Diggs getting 120 to 130 targets. He's going to take over as the number 1 easily. John Brown is still going to be there, but he's over 30 years old. Diggs is the future. They want Diggs and Allen to get a good chemistry built together. And was that?
I don't think he'll take over as easily as you might think, just because what's going on with the whole COVID world. They're not getting any reps besides last week or 2 weeks ago when they all met in Florida.
That we know of.
Yeah.
That's fair, but I mean, Diggs is far more talented than John Brown.
What we need to look at is that Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, he catered to Josh Allen last season. That's what they needed to do. John Brown comes in, Cole Beasley comes in. You get some older wide receivers, but they already know what they're doing. So Cole Beasley was there as his protection, anything 10 yards under. Cole Beasley did really, really well. But they also had those plays that he was there to check down for him when needed. John Brown, he had the best season of his career. He was in a Bruce Arians offense, and then he comes over to Josh Allen, who's one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks and has the best season of his career. Stephon Diggs is going to do that. He's going to have a higher ADOT, average depth of target, than he did in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. So he won't have as much efficient passes, but he's going to have higher yards per target. And that's what was that?
And that's another thing is, not only that do I think it's going to happen, but I'm praying as a Bills fan that they're actually going to unleash Josh Allen and let him throw the ball and not run it up the middle 3-4 plays in a row. It was extremely frustrating.
He's a poor man's Russell Wilson. I'm going to say that, Outhouse, and don't be upset, but he is a poor man's Russell Wilson. If you watch him in 2018, the amount of nobodies that were out there who just came out and just caught how many deep balls. We have the Isaiah McKenzies coming through. I mean, people don't know who these were. And they're just coming out of nowhere catching these deep balls. I know they were few and far between of accuracy, and he was horrible with it. But now that you give him an elite route runner, you give him an elite deep threat player, you give him a fantastic slot receiver and an up-and-coming tight end, throw the damn ball.
Yeah, and don't be scared to throw the ball. You have one of the best defenses in the league.
That's going to be the thing. It's going to have to be – but it also has to be on Josh Allen to –
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, like, you were calling him a poor man's Russell Wilson. I mean, there would have to be a lot of socioeconomics gap between the two, like, for that word poor to really fit.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, Russell Wilson's always looking downfield. He's looking for that pass. I mean, like I said before, Josh Allen, it's kind of like Colin Kaepernick, where if that first read isn't there, gets jittery and just bolts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's if he
Well,
can get past
yeah,
that, or if he now has, Diggs who he
Progressions.
can trust
Yeah.
a little more and just throw the ball anyway and know that by the time the ball gets there, Diggs will have done something to get to the ball.
Mhm.
Then yes, then
Yeah.
I will. If he can get the targets you're talking about, and Allen can take that step, then I'm with you guys on Diggs' ceiling. That's a
Yeah.
lot of ifs, though.
And Allen made a massive jump for
He
looking through
did.
his progressions from 18 to 19.
Yeah.
And I think that had to do with the confidence of the receivers, the veteran presence. Now you bring another veteran guy in. Like I said, it all falls on Allen, but it also falls on Dable to make the right play calls, because I hated him in 2018.
That's the biggest thing I worry about is Dable. It's just he was so frustrating. But like
so
I
good.
said, I think now we had with the addition of Diggs, our passing offense is just going to be much better. It's just going to open things up and it's going to help Josh Allen make better decisions. And he already did make better decisions coming from 2018 to 2019. In 5 less games, he threw 3 less interceptions. And his passing completion went from 52 to 58%. And I think this year you're going to see it get over 60%, hopefully. And yeah, I think it's going to be much better. They're still going to run the ball a lot. That's obviously still what we do. It's why they drafted Zach Moss. They got Singletary and Moss, so it's going to be a good run game as well. But yeah, I'm hoping they just throw a little bit more. Like instead of running the ball up the middle 3 times, run it up 2 times and get that extra pass play in. That alone is going to help it a lot.
With Dable, he was so good at scripting his initial first
25 plays, yeah.
Yeah.
plays, and it was so frustrating. I mean, look at the playoff game. Allen looked. I don't know if some of it has to do with Allen as well. He looked great in the first half of the playoff game, and then the second half starts 15 minutes later, and Allen looks lost out there, or in the play calling, and you're like, what are you doing? So I think both need to improve, obviously, with Dable and Allen.
Yeah, so we definitely had a lot on Josh Allen there. Let's just wrap everything up with one last trade. Russ, this is in the Cartoon Do-Gooders Alliance League that you and I are in. I made this trade, and it involves Josh Allen, so it makes sense why we're talking about him. So I traded away Matthew Stafford, CeeDee Lamb, and Jamison Crowder for Josh Allen and Sony Michel. Now, this is a best ball dynasty league, but I didn't make this trade in mind with the best ball part, so I feel like it is worthy to be able to talk about right now. So without that in mind, what do you guys I'll start with Russ. What do you think, Outhouse, of this trade?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the Stafford side. Honestly, Stafford was doing so well before he got hurt, but let's be honest, the quarterbacks are probably a bit of a scratch for me. They're both those middle tier guys who are most likely going to be bottom end QB1s, and that's awesome. That's fine. I mean, Josh Allen may be a little safer because of the legs and all of that. But then you're down to CeeDee Lamb and Jamison Crowder for Sony Michel. And while I do think Sony Michel will do better this year than he did last year, not that much better. So I don't know if you do have either some homerism coming in here, or if you just do have faith that Josh Allen is going to keep taking that step up. Yeah, I think you paid a bit.
Yeah, I agree.
I did go over just a little, but my Stafford love isn't there anymore. And I feel bad saying that, but I do think that back-end quarterback 1 maybe is the best that he's going to be able to do anymore. And I think Allen's going to make that assumption to potentially a borderline top 5. Yeah, I did overpay. I wasn't happy getting rid of CD, but I think Michelle and Crowder they washed there. So with me thinking Stafford was going down, I probably did pay a little premium there, but
but you got out of something you were afraid was going to fall. So
right.
It makes sense that you do overpay.
Allen's my number 1 quarterback now because it was Stafford. So that's where I feel I'm more comfortable. I have Amari Cooper, so I had him in CD, which was probably smart, but that could be a train I have to wait a year or 2 for.
Doesn't matter. I'm winning this league this year anyway. I'm tired of second place.
Well, I got to get this one, then I got to get the DDCL again. But, we'll cross that bridge later. So I think that's going to wrap up just about everything that we got today. So, Outhouse, why don't you tell us again what you do, everything you got going on, and yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Well, yes, I am at Dynasty Outhouse on Twitter. A member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network at DAP_network on the Twitters. Subscribe to that feed on any of your podcast, whatever platforms, that's the word. And you can get Trade Addicts Podcast, which is my show, the Fantasy Timeline, which is a live show every Wednesday. Then they put it out on podcast form, but you could watch that on YouTube also. And the Dynasty Junkies, which are just it's frustrating
They're
how
great.
good they've gotten so damn fast, and I let them know that it pisses me off how good they got. But also Dynasty Game Night, which if you don't listen is just stupid fun. Like you don't learn anything on that show. You scream at your phone or car radio wherever you're listening, just because it's literally games. That's all it is, and it's like one of those things where it's so much harder when you're on the show to answer a question that you're sitting at your car screaming, calling the other person stupid. So, but
exactly
it's
what I
so
do. I'm like, what?
it's
What are
so
you
much
doing?
fun. Yes. And especially since I became hosting, I made everything so geek related that a lot of people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So it's even more fun to stump everybody. And then Split Takes show with me and Kevin Cotillo on the Dummies Funhouse Podcast Network, the DFPN network. We're going to record that probably tomorrow or Monday to get that out soon. That's where me and Kevin, we just go over two trades. We give unbiased takes because like we were saying before, like we were going over trades and like I started saying how I felt about Marquise Brown, where then someone else was like, yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe he isn't worth really a first. And that sort of affects what you say in the analysis. What me and Kevin do is we record them completely separately. So we record our takes and then listen to each other's and then argue with each other about how wrong we think each other are. So like that was a fun little format that we put together. So that's where you could find me. I am on Twitter way too often because I have a really boring desk job. So that's me.
Yeah. Do you want to promote the shirts and wristbands you got going too?
Oh, hey man, I'll promote I'll keep
Go.
talking if you let me keep talking.
Yeah, talk about them. Those great products.
Well, I have ffpodshirts.storeenvy.com. I'm wearing my DAP Network shirt right now. But oh man, we have so many all the DAP Network people, but we also have Dynasty Game Night, Dino Diagnostic, Devi Marketplace, Coast to Coast Scouting. We just have anybody that was too lazy to put their own store together. I threw in mine, pretty much. So there's T-shirts, mugs, stickers. All proceeds go to charity. We used to do Fantasy Cares, but Scott Fish sort of turned off his shareable link. So we haven't quite figured out where that's going to go yet, but it's still all going to go to charity. We have our wristbands for the Trade Addicts Pod, which are $5 each. $2 of each wristband also will go to a charity. We're just not sure which yet. Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah. So everybody,
thanks for having me on. By the way,
no.
I haven't said
thanks
that
for
yet.
coming, man.
No, thank you. We're extremely humbled to have you on here. Everybody, take
Absolutely.
a look at all the products. Take a look at everything Outhouse is on. Yes, at Brian Haar, at the Trade Addicts Podcast, at the DAP Network. They're really great, and they've done a lot for, I know, just three of us alone. So we can't appreciate that enough. Anybody else want to wrap it up? Anybody got anything to say?
Yeah, I'm just impressed of how much Russ does. I mean, I lost count after 5 podcasts.
Me too. That's the problem.
Pretty impressive. Thank you for being on our show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man.
No, thanks for having me on. I love talking, and any chance for me to say Antonio was wrong about something, I'm all for, because I'm still a little mad at him for beating me in the Dynasty Diagnostic Championship.
We're 1-1. We're 1-1. You got me during the regular season.
Oh, because that matters. So
but I'll take the championship.
Thanks for that pity right there. I appreciate it.
I'll
go
give you a little
sleep
bit
easy
there
tonight with that.
If it makes you feel better, it was like my only loss. So
nope,
but
I'm not there.
Yeah, no, humble brag. Yeah, so we're gonna end it there. Once again, thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to, like I said, follow at Dynasty Outhouse Follow everything he's on. You can follow the pod at Dynasty Mafia _FF. You can follow me at Antonio Denisi FF. You can follow Keenan at Keenan _716. And you can follow Eric at Eric D _FF. All right, guys, say bye.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock here. It's way past our bedtime here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night,
And Mafia out.
See ya.